Hey Tom, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Just kind of off the bat, what have been your impressions so far when you look at SMU, and what do you think maybe some of the biggest challenges they're going to present?
Yeah, just impressive offensive unit. Coach Lashley's done a tremendous job there building that program. You just look at the thing that jumps out is their athleticism. At receiver, the tight end position is very solid. Running back, he's converted wide receiver, so those challenges that he creates with that and the way they're able to do that schematically has been impressive. And I think the quarterback, he really makes him go. And the Jennings kid he's impressive, and he's young, but he's extremely live arm. In terms of a dual threat quarterback, that's what he truly is. He can run it, he can throw it, but his ability to create is really what sticks out to me. When things maybe don't go as they're supposed to, he's really dangerous, and he forces you to have to be extremely disciplined in those areas of being able to prevent those types of plays. But talented football team, one of the top offenses in the country, and so definitely a huge challenge for us and a great opportunity.
In the front, Bob.
Hey Tom, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I wanted to ask you a little bit of a bigger picture question. The adjustment you had to make early in the season going up into the booth, and now working with Dan Connor closely to get everything kind of situated, the calls in. How has that relationship gone with Dan? How do you think it's gone for you, and how big of an adjustment was it? Because I believe you had been on the field, most of the time. So how'd that go for you?
Yeah, it was an adjustment without question. I think it was a good adjustment, good change. And, Dan and I obviously work very, very closely together. He's a tremendous coach and a great communicator with our players. And that was important, I think, to keep him communicating with them with the mic, to have that, resource for us. I think it was good. Just one less thing for me to even have to deal with, just the button, and just communicating that. And even the crowd level or the noise, in the box compared to on the field, and then all that, how it affects the communication with the players. So I think it took a while to get used to, without question. I think just everything in regards to having the mic on the linebacker, having the iPads to evaluate, I think all those things together kind of made, the decision to go up a lot easier. The quality of our staff, guys that I can be able to say, check this, correct that, during the time we're off the field, and the way that's able to be done efficiently with those coaches and their players with the iPads is another reason why it allowed me to feel good about going up top. And I just think the quality of our players and their ability to handle those adjustments and the things that come off the field. So definitely took some time to get used to, I think, but at the same time, once we got into that new structure of communication, I feel like that we kind of got rolling from there, and it's been a very positive thing.
In the middle, John.
Hey Tom, what did you learn from the Oregon game that you can maybe apply against a team like SMU or moving forward in the college football playoff?
Well, there's no question. I think many valuable lessons to be learned, and without being too specific, because obviously we can play them again, and then obviously other teams can use those things. But at the same time, I think you're always looking to adapt and to learn and grow from things that other team does to you, and puts you in a tougher spot. And obviously we did play to our standard, and they did a tremendous job in certain areas that really made that hard. But at the same time, to me, it's about being able to take that information, and it's been directly, a lot of meeting time since then, a lot of a chance to go back and watch and go through and analyze what we can do better to help our guys be in the best position to be successful. So, like I said, I don't want to get too specific because of the obvious reasons, but at the same time, I feel like that anytime a team does some things to you that causes you to have, a struggle defensively and not play the way you want to, which is what I would say that's exactly what happened, especially in the beginning, but I think the bottom line is our guys and we collectively have learned some valuable things from that, and we're going to utilize those going into this week for sure, without question.
In the middle, Seth.
Hey, Tom. As someone who's been a head coach at the Big Ten level, maybe having a unique perspective on the current landscape of college football, what has the balance been like, this past week, with not only preparing with SMU but also, having to utilize the transfer portal?
Yeah, I think everybody would agree that there's a lot of things that need to be reevaluated, and we've been in a lot of those meetings the last couple of years leading up to this, and I think Coach addressed some of these things yesterday. And so bottom line is that we, as a coaches organization and NCAA, has to take a really strong, hard look at the calendar and the flow and how things are happening, and it just creates some negative situations that you really don't want to be placed in, for your team when you have a chance to be. But at the same time, I think coaches done a great job of saying, you know what, we got one focus, that's SMU, and so we'll let everybody else that's in those roles administratively to figure out what's better for the future, because it definitely needs to be looked at without question, and I believe it will be. But right now, it's about, hey, what can we do to make sure that our guys are 100% locked in to be in their preparation. We're in game week mode right now, and we got to be able to do a great job of compartmentalizing things and also making sure we're ready to play our best football on Saturday.
Over here on the right, Tyler.
Hey Tom, thanks for the time. Wanted to ask about your defensive tackle situation. Against Oregon, it seemed tighter than we had seen it in the past 12 matchups, understanding that Alonzo's not available, Hakeem left the program. Would you like to be able to go deeper than 3? I know maybe you can't go 5 again, but do you feel like moving into the playoffs, that's a spot you can go deeper than 3? And how would you evaluate Ty Blanding and Xavier Gilliam kind of on the fringe there?
Yeah, I'd say that those two guys you want to see step up into the 4th and the 5th spot, and you'd like to have at least 4 without question each week in the playoffs, and you want to be able to have 5 as a bonus guy, So to me, Xavier and Ty are the 2 guys that we're constantly evaluating. Even this week in practice, they're competing for that spot to be the 4th guy, and then be the 5th guy obviously would fall into place there. So, you just want to see guys rise up, and I think that depth has been important at every position, but especially in your front. Those guys play, very, very stressful snaps. When you play on the defensive line, it's physically demanding, mentally demanding, and you got to be, you're getting, hit every single snap, and you're throwing your hands, and you got to be able to be playing at a high level. That's why we rotate those guys in the past. So definitely want to get to 4, love to have 5, and the ball's in those guys' court to decide who that's going to be.
We'll go Mark and then Shane.
Thanks for your time, Tom.
You're welcome.
How would you evaluate the play of Tony Rojas, a guy who was a high school offensive player kind of moving over to defense? And what do you see as his kind of upside? How much more do you think he can develop?
I think he has a tremendous upside. I think, as you mentioned, he's a young player that's still growing and developing. He's got tremendous speed and athleticism and length for the position, and you've seen the flashes of it when it really, really shows at a high level. And I expect him even these next 4 weeks to continue to grow and develop and be very important for his future as well. So, and I think a lot of it is just confidence as a part of it as a player, as you learn, what's in the system and you learn to grow. Because as a backer, you got to not just play well, you got to communicate. You got to take on the ownership of making sure everybody around you plays well and is in position to make plays. So Tony's the guy to me that his best football is still in front of him and ahead of him. He's got tremendous attitude, he works extremely hard, and I want to just continue to see him these next several weeks just keep growing and developing in his confidence and playing with that edge, and we've seen that. We know he has it in him, and it's been you're looking for that high level consistency to be able to play at that high level each and every week. That's what I expect from him. That's what I expect from our backers, and to me, he's a guy that's got a bright future.
Let's go in the back middle, Shane.
Hey Coach,
How you doing?
doing well. How are you?
Great.
With 2 guys that you got from the transfer portal, AJ Harris, Jaylen Kimber, coming from the SEC. Talk about the impact those guys have had on your defense in the secondary, especially getting as far as you have this season.
Yeah, they've been huge. I think about Jaylen Kimber's just poise. I mean, he just doesn't get phased. He's experienced. He's been playing this game for a long time, and that's what stuck out to us when we took him, and it's proven to be true. And he's actually been just a tremendous young man in our program. Love what he brings every day. So consistent in his approach to practice, and his play's been that way as well. So you can take a guy like that, and sometimes you take a guy in the portal, you don't always know how they're going to fit into your system, how they're going to play once you get him here. And he's been tremendous for us, and I expect him to be a major part of everything as we finish off this season. So and then AJ to me is a young guy, as you kind of have 2 different extremes there, and with 1 year you're at Georgia and coming here and has a tremendous amount of talent. And I think you kind of even go back and you say consistency is the thing you want to see, and probably played his best game of the whole season, against Oregon, and so I just felt like that he's got toughness, he's got athleticism, he can cover, and he can do a lot of things that we want our guys to do. So they've been 2 tremendous additions to our program, and that's what you want to be able to do with utilizing, in my mind, the portal as a chance to be able to maybe fill in some gaps based on where you have maybe some early departures in a position, to be able to meet those needs and with that type of player. But to hit on both of those guys, the two guys we brought in, in the secondary, has been really big for us, and I expect them to play, their very best football here in these last 4 weeks.
Over in the middle, Max, and then we'll go to Zoom.
Hey Tom, thanks for the time. If my simple addition is correct, SMU has 7 guys who have at least 20 receptions this season. Is it more challenging to prepare for a team like that where it's so spread out anybody can hurt you rather than 1 or 2 guys that heading into the scouting report are going to gash you all day? Yeah,
I would think that, there's always strength in numbers. And I think it's no different in that, example. And anytime you have more guys that you feel can make plays, for you as an offense, and then obviously we as a defense, more guys we have to defend and take away, So, but the bottom line is that they do have a very talented football team, and they do have many weapons that they can get the ball to. So it forces you to be able to say, hey man, everybody's got to do his job, which is what you obviously say from the beginning, but it's really more valuable when you say, hey, sometimes you say, if we take this guy away, we're going to be able to do this and that. And so to me, we have to be sound across the board, and everybody is going to matter who you're matched up with, and so, but they've done a great job recruiting to that position. And like you said, they have many guys that can contribute. So there are obvious strengths when you have the ability to do that, and it puts stress on your defense when they can. So we know that we have a big challenge with our secondary, but we're excited about the challenge.
All right, we're going to go to the Zoom screen. Devin Jackson, Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey Tom, thanks for the time. I wanted to ask about Abdul Carr. You guys have been using him all over the defensive front, as a stand-up over the center, coming off the edge. How important has he been to your defense? And, what is his kind of gravity as a pass rusher? How is that able to create some other opportunities for some other defensive linemen and the blitzing schemes that
he's been
able to...
I'm sorry to interrupt you. He's been tremendous for us, and as you see, we'd be able to move him around, and that will continue. And so they'd have to be able to prepare for him, be different positions and different responsibilities or techniques he's going to be able to use. I believe he's the best defensive player in the country, and he's proven that each week. And so bottom line is that as you get into this game with SMU, is going to be another opportunity for him to be able to do what he does best, which is disrupt, And so wherever we choose to put him, and obviously it does affect the guys around him when they have to be able to account for him. And as you talked about, when you have more receivers you have to defend, well, it's no different, defensively when you have more guys that they have to deal with. They just, choose to focus on him. It's going to free up other guys, and he still does a great job of beating whatever you choose to do to him. So bottom line is that Abdul Carr is a tremendous football player. He has so much flexibility, which I know that's a big value for his future, is to be able to play in different positions and be a tremendous one-on-one nightmare for offensive players, and his burst of the ball is as good as I've ever seen, And so just love how hard he practices, love how hard he plays, and excited for him to be able to play his best football here on Saturday.
Let's stick to Zoom. Rich Garcella.
Thanks, Greg. Tom, thank you.
You're welcome.
You mentioned Jennings earlier, but what specific challenges does he bring? What are his strengths, and what are the challenges in facing a mobile quarterback?
Well, first of all, when a guy can extend the play, and that's kind of the best way the phrase I think to use, because, he'll extend the play. He can hurt you with his legs when he extends the play. But I think when he extends the play, he's looking to throw the football. And those are really probably the most dangerous ones, because sometimes guys, when they say, hey, when he just starts to start running around, we're just going to focus on trying to get him on the ground as a running back. Well, now you still can't just, abort your responsibilities in the pass. And so a lot of explosive plays they've created have been when he's been maneuvering in the pocket and buys time, and they create some separation, whether you're playing man or zone, and finds an open receiver. So, the ability to have that threat is tremendous. And I also think he's very accurate. Sometimes you get guys who are dual guys, and they can be maybe not as accurate a passer, but he's very accurate, especially on the move. And I think that's what sticks out to me that makes him really, really special. And I think he's a special talent. I really do. And he's a guy that I didn't know a lot about before, us playing him. But obviously he's got my full attention without question after studying here these last, couple of weeks. So bottom line is that I think the thing that sticks out is that he's a dual player quarterback that throws it extremely well, has accuracy, has really, really quick release, has good arm strength, so he can throw in tight windows, and also has the ability to beat you with his legs. and they built a whole system around that type of player, and that's what this system is really, when I've gone against it in the past, when it's at its best is when that guy can do those things. And so he's a guy that creates a lot of challenges for every defense each and every week, and that's why they've had so much success this season.
Over here on the right, Daniel.
Tom, how would you assess Kobe King's play over the course of this year, especially manning that mic spot and being the conduit in terms of communication?
Yeah, I'm a backers guy, and I'm just such a huge believer that, man, you go as your backers go. And he's had a tremendous season. I mean, the consistency, he's played like an older, mature player is supposed to play. He's a really good tackler. He's way better in space, I think, than most people realize. He has really, really, loose hips. He can sink and bend and rush the passer and just do so many different things. He runs our defense. That's probably a big thing. I know I wasn't here a year ago, but just from being around the guys here, this is something he needed to grow in, was just the ownership of running the defense verbally, and he's taken that on. He's a captain. He's a guy that just has done everything. He's a consistent practice player. He's just done a great job. He works extremely hard. He practices hard. He brings it every single day, and you have to do that. You got it, because you have to live out that standard each and every day. So his play and production is matched up with his preparation, which has been impressive, and I think he's elevated the whole room of linebackers. And so just really proud of him and excited for him to be able to have a tremendous game on Saturday. That's what I expect him to do. And but like you said, you want to play great defense, you got to have great linebackers, and I believe Kobe King's a great linebacker.
We got time for one more. Way in the back, T. Frank. Tom, good afternoon.
Good.
Straight back.
How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I'm curious about Zion Tracy. Bit of a two-part question. First off, what has he done for your defense in the slot? And then secondly, he was an outside corner last year here at Penn State. So can you just go through the journey he took to get to that spot where he has, played meaningful snaps for you in the slot down the stretch here for your defense?
Yeah, he's been, another piece. You guys have mentioned several guys that have been huge for us this year in his development. Coach T has done a tremendous job with him as a player, and then Coach Dick works with him in the Lion position, and I think that when we lost KJ, it really kind of created some challenges for us to be able to kind of figure out what this was going to look like moving forward. It took a little bit of time to get to that point, but at the same time, he does give you some tremendous coverage ability at that position, but he also has the ability to tackle, and he can blitz, and he can do all the things that you want to that position to be able to do. And there's different ways you play that guy based on his skill set, and you always want to maximize his skills, and he's made some really big plays for us, and that's the expectation going to this weekend as well. But at the same time, I would say he's another guy that there was probably a point a couple months ago, and I pointed out, and when I started seeing him practice, the attention to detail during walkthroughs, during jog throughs, during even film sessions that wasn't there necessarily before. It was there at times. It wasn't consistent, and when I started seeing it consistent, I just wanted to make sure I reinforced that, and then his play started elevating once the attention to detail during those parts of practice started to elevate, and he started just playing at a higher level and making more plays and putting himself in position. You could tell he started understanding the calls and understanding where he can put his eyes and where he's not supposed to put his eyes at times, and so which allows him to make more plays. But I think his raw athleticism is really elite. He's really, really fast. He's got really long arms. And he's a tough kid that has really developed this year, and we need that to continue without question. And I just think he's got a really, really bright future, and he's a guy that's going to be able to play this game for a long, long time, because now you have on film position flexibility. You can play outside, you can play inside, you can play probably even as a safety, in certain calls. And so I think when you say a guy can play 5 positions in the back end, his value is at a high level, and that's what I say about Zion.
All right, thanks, Tom. We'll have Devontae Thomas.